An urban explorer known as Native Penguin was investigating the desolate, overgrown grounds of the Cherokee Heritage Center, located in Park Hill, Oklahoma. This property holds a haunted past, built directly atop the original site of the Cherokee Female Seminary, a historic boarding school that tragically burned to the ground in 1887. While checking the perimeter of the remaining structures during the day, Native Penguin suddenly noticed a strange sound cutting through the quiet atmosphere of the abandoned complex. He immediately pulled out his camera to capture the phenomenon, determined to find what could be causing a disturbance in a location that had been completely shut down for decades. Watch.
Am I tripping, or is there something going on in here? What the?
O Senhor, ligada o coiga ahani, idadaki sani, idjalagi. After moving to Indian Territory, Cherokee Nation set aside 1 acre of ground for ancient church congregation. Moravians, Baptists.
Dude, that's so creepy. Why is this?
The investigator stands completely frozen as an eerie, automated recording echoes clearly from inside the locked wooden building. Native Penguin adjusts his equipment, trying to trace the audio back to a rational source within the decaying structure. Since the center has been closed to the public for years, the presence of a broadcast loop creates an unsettling environment. Hoping to locate a hidden speaker, he steps up to peer directly through the glass. Pay close attention.
Okay. Dude, that scared me. I was like, there's someone in there.
At Mount Zion Church, where I pastor, we conduct our services in both languages, Cherokee and English. And when we have a complete...
A translucent, white form glides silently behind the vintage iron stove inside the abandoned classroom before dissolving into the darkness. This stunning visual represents a heavy escalation, following the mysterious automated broadcast loop that Native Penguin first tracked from outside the locked doors. What makes this footage difficult to dismiss is how the shape moves with an independent momentum across the rows of empty wooden benches. A skeptic could easily attribute the pale silhouette to a passing beam or a reflection off the dirty windows to explain the creepy glare. But shifting dust particles cannot account for a distinct silhouette drifting behind a solid iron stove structure in a steady path. Native Penguin stands in total silence outside the glass, tracking a paranormal entity that bears a terrifying resemblance to the historic loss of the boarding school students. The question isn't whether something was in that room with him. The question is whether it ever left. Lyson recently endured the painful loss of a beloved cat named Mina, but the grieving pet owner soon noticed a strange, heavy presence lingering directly around the animal's favorite multi-tiered play tower. Convinced that the feline companion never truly left the home, Lyson decided to set up a stationary night vision camera to monitor the room during the quiet hours of the night. The camera remained completely undisturbed in the corner, tracking the vacant structure and the small toys scattered across the carpet. Genuinely hoping to catch a subtle, creepy sign of a peaceful, lingering spirit, Lyson left the lens running in total darkness, waiting to see if the empty room would reveal any hidden activity. Take a look at this. The night vision feed captures a sudden, low-lying white mist darting rapidly across the carpeted floor right beside the vacant cat tower. The room is dead silent. Seconds later, a distinct rattling impact echoes from inside the lower circular enclosure, causing a sharp disturbance. What makes this paranormal activity remarkable is the direct path of the translucent shape, mimicking the exact size and low-to-the-ground agility of a pouncing animal. A skeptic could easily attribute the fast-moving blur to a stray dust particle or a passing insect close to the camera lens. But that alternative fails to account for the heavy rattling sound occurring at the exact same location inside the tower structure. Lyson believes the manifestation provides comforting yet unsettling proof that Mina remains anchored to her favorite spot. If you opened your camera right now, are you sure nothing would be standing behind you? If you love the thrill of the unknown, subscribe for more spine-chilling content just like this. There's more to see, so let's get back to the clips. Tim took an overnight security position at a long-abandoned excavation site, expecting completely quiet night shifts in the isolated facility. Instead, his routine rounds quickly transformed into a physical nightmare, as heavy security sirens repeatedly went off without any mechanical trigger. Empty chairs slid across the concrete floors entirely unassisted, accompanied by a foul stench and a thick blanket of dread that followed him through every dark corridor. Desperate to document these creepy events, he finally decided to carry a camera to capture the unseen force watching his every move, completely unaware of the escalating danger waiting for him in the deep subterranean storage layout. Pay close attention.
It just got really cold in here. I had to turn off my radio earlier. It's jumping with static. Usually that means it's close. Man, that's cold. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. Yeah, I can definitely feel something in here. Oh, shit. Just saw my apple move. Just saw him move. Oh. What do you want? Who are you? Oh. What does this mean? What do you want? Why are you playing games? Why did you attack me the other day? What do you want?
The environment shifts violently as loose items begin bouncing and spinning on the metal counter. Tim watches a red apple roll across the surface, completely unassisted, with his legs fully visible, ruling out hidden strings or magnetic props. But the presence grows increasingly hostile as a sudden power outage forces him to handle a blaring fire alarm manually. He must now perform a tense walkthrough of the pitch-black layout to secure the facility, completely blind to the danger ahead. Watch.
Power outage in one of the storage rooms was causing the fire alarm to go off. I have to turn them off manually, and part of my job is to also do a walkthrough of the room. What you're about to see is the first time the entity in this facility has manifested physical aggression.
No! Ah!
An unseen force exerts sudden physical dominance as the camera jerks violently and Tim's feet slide backward across the concrete floor as if being forcefully dragged. Fueled by a mix of intense fear and curiosity, he returns directly to the hot spot behind a sealed wall, uncovering an abandoned, decaying storage unit. He sets up a hidden camera within this cursed chamber to monitor the quiet space. Now, he arms himself with investigative gear to step directly into the pitch darkness. Take a look.
My brain is telling me to run and never look back. My heart says if I'm already going through hell, I may as well go all the way through.
Tim survives the initial encounter, but the hidden camera left inside the decaying chamber continues to record in total isolation. What the lens captures next reveals the true, hostile nature of the force inhabiting the forgotten layout, escalating far beyond anything witnessed during his previous rounds. Watch closely. The stationary camera feed captures a terrifying silhouette on the Egyptian bust perched high on the center beam in the haunted facility. A dark shadow hand appears resting directly on the statue before vanishing into the surrounding blackness in the blink of an eye. This chilling event solidifies the progressive escalation inside, linking directly back to the initial spinning objects, followed by the violent dragging force that pulled Tim backward across the floor. A skeptic could point to bad lighting or shifting dust particles within an abandoned warehouse to explain the shape. But a simple trick of shadow cannot explain a perfectly formed hand gripping a physical object at the precise moment the room turned hostile. Tim remains trapped in a real-life nightmare, stubbornly standing guard while entirely oblivious to the true scale of the threat. Would you sleep in that room after seeing this? A baby monitor displays a clear view of a darkened nursery where a young child lies fast asleep in her crib. A mother named Joanna Pascoe started recording the small digital screen after noticing a bizarre pattern drifting through the enclosed room. She had already taken steps to secure the space, ensuring the curtains were drawn tight against an overcast afternoon to eliminate any external glares or reflections from passing vehicles. Despite these precautions, a distinct luminous presence manifests within the sealed environment, hovering directly over the peaceful infant with a calm, targeted focus. Watch as the parent captures the unsettling movement in real time, trying to find a logical explanation for what is unfolding inside her home. Take a look.
Okay, that's not possible. Is that the light? What the is that? What is that? What is it? Look at the way, look! It's lingering. Is it the light outside? Like, what is happening right now? There's no other light. How is this possible? Like, there's no pinhole empty. Like, the curtains, I pulled the curtains closed. You guys, what the is this? And it's not leaving. It's getting near her. Oh my God. Did she just touch it?
Just as the glowing element glides seamlessly over the sleeping child, the translucent sphere pauses mid-air to hover perfectly in place. This luminous shape moves with an active, Intentional momentum across the dark bed layout, changing directions without any physical drafts. You can hear Joanna exclaim in complete disbelief through the audio track, repeatedly questioning the impossible light source, while confirming that the bedroom curtains were fully closed during the gray, overcast day. A skeptic could easily argue that a tiny dust particle floating near the camera lens or a stray infrared reflection could create a creepy visual effect. But a simple speck of debris cannot account for a controlled, self-propelled flight path that lingers directly over the infant before dipping down toward the mattress. The vulnerable baby remains entirely oblivious to the radiant entity pacing inches away from her face. What exactly was floating over that crib, and did the sleeping child genuinely feel its touch?
Oh my god. Did she just touch it?
Many people consider their home a sanctuary, but for one resident living in Mexico, his domestic space has transformed into a terrifying trap. He claims he is entirely unable to leave a heavily haunted house where supernatural encounters have simply become an ordinary part of his daily routine. Desperate to document the oppressive environment, he keeps his camera ready during his regular walks through the rooms. While moving past a tiled kitchen floor, with neighborhood dogs barking frantically outside, he pans his camera toward a dark corridor corner, completely oblivious to the fact that something is waiting to confront him from behind the wall structure. Take a look at this. Just as the camera pans slowly past the edge of the interior doorway, a distinct pale head, covered in long black hair, emerges from behind the concrete partition. The figure remains motionless for several seconds, staring directly back at the lens while the observer inhales sharply. What also makes this footage hard to dismiss is the stark, detailed outline of those strands framing a white face in a completely empty corridor. A skeptic could easily argue that a hanging garment, a folded blanket, or a shadow could create a creepy silhouette. But a simple piece of laundry cannot explain why the solid shape suddenly snaps back and disappears entirely into thin air the exact moment the man steps closer to the corner. The resident is left standing alone in a house where the structure offers no protection from what hides behind them. Would you sleep in that room after seeing this? An urban explorer named Kadra Azrul filmed a solo trek inside a massive abandoned psychiatric hospital located in Malaysia. The facility was permanently closed down by authorities back in the 1990s, leaving behind a structure drenched in dark local folklore and a grim history of hauntings. Despite multiple warnings from residents to avoid the haunted site, his curiosity drove him to step inside anyway. After reciting a brief prayer for protection, he carried full-spectrum camera gear to document the silent, decaying corridors, expecting nothing more than an empty shell. But the oppressive atmosphere inside the shadows suggests he was never truly alone in that desolate facility. Pay close attention.
Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar.
Siapa tu? Hoi. Hei.
Kadra walks deeper into the dark wing after hearing a strange noise, finding absolutely nothing but empty rooms. The sound of his own heavy breathing echoes through the microphone, highlighting his intense isolation inside the facility. What also makes this footage hard to write off is the total lack of draft or rational interference to explain the initial disruption. But the hidden presence is about to manifest a far more visual threat directly in his path. Watch.
Hey. Hamil buat apa ni sini seorang-seorang? Weh, gemuk lah ni. Hamil buat apa sini seorang-seorang? Hah? Awak? Hah? Siapa?
This towering mass moves with an unnatural agility that clearly surpasses any normal animal profile, leaving Kadra completely shaken as he scans the empty corridor. A skeptic could easily argue that a lens reflection or stray dust caused the shape. However, the sheer density of the form makes it difficult to dismiss. But an even more terrifying sound is waiting ahead. Take a look.
Assalamualaikum. Allahu Akbar.
A deep, threatening growl echoes directly down the concrete hallway, breaking the heavy quiet of the asylum. The raw sound carries a distinct, aggressive tone that leaves no doubt about the hostile nature of the presence tracking Kadra through the facility. As the investigator hesitates, the weight of the environment changes completely, indicating that the entity is closing the distance. He remains completely oblivious to how close the threat actually is. Take a look at this.
Allahu Akbar.
Kadra sprints directly toward the source of the noise, only to find another completely empty corridor waiting for him. But the real horror manifests as he turns around, feeling an intense, invisible presence standing right behind him in the narrow concrete passage. What also makes this specific moment terrifying is how the camera shakes, capturing his visceral reaction as he backs away. He is about to face the most direct confrontation yet.
Allahu Akbar. Ya kau. Siapa kau?
The infrared lens captures a pale female face peeking out from behind a crumbling wall corner before instantly vanishing back into the darkness. This horrifying sequence marks the absolute peak of activity inside the psychiatric hospital, linking perfectly back to the initial tracking noises, the towering shadow figure, the aggressive growl, and the invisible entity that cornered the investigator. What makes this final footage impossible to write off is that Kadra was recording live, completely alone in a facility sealed for decades. A skeptic might attribute the pale shape to structural debris or light bouncing off a metallic pipe. But an accidental reflection cannot account for a distinct human profile turning toward the camera right before disappearing. Kadra managed to escape the building, but the phantom dwells permanently in those forgotten halls. The question is, who was she waiting for?
Allahu Akbar!